Hey everyone, I'm back. Again, I should probably stop saying I'm back. I'll just make videos when I can. It's been a minute since I've got that TikTok a couple months ago. Doing decent with that ish. If you're following that, then you know. If you don't, well, good luck finding it. Because it's fun this way too. But had an idea for a new little series of videos. Hopefully, I'll keep my junk together on this. As you can tell from the title down below, it is character stories. Um, and this is where I'm just going to be telling you some of the background information on some of my Dungeons and Dragons characters. You can just take it for what it is, nice storytelling, hopefully. Or use it as ideas for maybe some of your own characters, or if you're a DM, maybe some NPCs for things. So I'll just be telling you some of the, again, background stories, not necessarily the shenanigans they've gotten into in D&D campaigns. I might make a separate um, video series for that. So they shouldn't be too long. This first one, obviously, a little longer just for the intro. Also, I got new glasses. Check that out. So comment below. Like for new glasses. Comment on what you think, how you think they do. What do you think? You can see the reflection of the my ring light in them, so there's that. But yeah, here we go. So today's story, pretty much the first D&D character that I started playing long term. Her name is Neelah Gley. I decided that in the elemental tongue, that means protector of the forest, or guardian of the forest, guardian of the Gley, as it were. Um, so her deal, um, why does she even have a name in an elemental language? That's all part of the backstory. So she's a little forest gnome. She started out in this little foresty village with a lot of other gnomes, and her childhood friend is a dwarf by the name of Kana Hathelik. Kana's father, who doesn't actually have a name because Neelah never knew it, therefore it doesn't exist. As this is Neelah's story, she just knew him as Master Hathelik. He came to the Forest Gnome Village to assist. Actually, he came to just kind of get away. He brought his daughter, and they kind of found this Forest Gnome Village, and he gave his blacksmithing skills to them. So he like made things for them, taught them a few things. He liked to teach some of the young kids who are willing to learn some minor combat skills, maybe some blacksmithing things. He helped Neelah create a dagger out of iron bark that Neelah found in the forest, so she kind of carries that with her. She began learning how to use a quarterstaff as a weapon from him. He thought it'd be interesting to teach her, a little 3-foot gnome, how to use a 5.5-foot quarterstaff, and she got rather good at it. Um, so when she was around 10 or so, her village was, no, 20, sorry, 20. She's around 20. When she was around 20, her village was raided. I know it's a D&D story. You can't have a background without tragedy, but there it is. Her village was raided by a group of orcs and half-orcs. A lot of her family, actually all of her family that she's aware of, was killed. She's not sure what happened to Kana and her father, the dwarves. But she was taken off by the orcs and half-orcs and sold to a human family. And they essentially had her as a little household slave, doing cooking and cleaning, doing errands, running things of that nature. So that was there for about, she was there for about 10 years. She was kept company by the household ghosts. There were ghosts there just of past family members, and they just kind of hung out around the house. And she got kind of used to seeing ghosts around. After about 10 years of service, though, there was an incident where she just dropped a few things. There was a big shattering of dishes and platters and things. And the master of the house, in his anger, took out just a short little whip and whipped her across the face, get a little scar right here. And then essentially kicked her out of the house into the cold. Um, so at that point, she kind of uh, wandered around for a little bit, and she began to be watched over by these four elemental spirits: fire, water, air, and earth. And they essentially took her under their influence. She wasn't fully aware of what was happening with that, but they guided her to this secluded forest called the Gley. So that is that. Oh, side note, 'cause it's important. Her original name in Gnomish was Nyara. So there's that. And then when she was in the human household, they essentially didn't give her a name at all. They just talked at her without a name. But then these elemental spirits, again, they came to her kind of and guided her to this glade, this protected forest, and gave her some minor druidic abilities and kind of sent her on a little quest to the center of the forest to find the ancient tree from which essentially the entire forest is growing. And at the tree, she took from the tree a piece of its root, and that became her new staff. And at that point, the elemental spirits came back, and that whole journey took about 5 or 6 years in the forest. And they saw that she was still alive, had survived her journey, and had this root of the ancient tree to show for it. And they bestowed upon her even greater powers of druidic magic, and at that point gave her the new name of Neelah Gley, protector of the Gley, being that forest. And she stayed there for 83 years. So by the time she came out of there, she was 113. And side note, in the world, the campaign where I'm playing her, her forest was its own floating island. So when our campaign started, her island came into contact with this other island and campaign shenanigans. And that's where her story picked up. But yeah, so there you go. That is the backstory of Neelah Gley. She was my little gnome, forest gnome druid. So yeah, that's just her backstory. I might do another series, like I said again later, about the things she gets into in the campaign. But there you go. Just sharing that with you. More characters to come. Thanks for hanging around. Feel free to like this video, share it, get some other people to subscribe, see if I can get a little bigger out there in the YouTube world. But yeah, there you go. Character Stories Part 1, Neelah Gley.